Is John Carroll here? Okay, hi John. And just to let everybody know, there's people have referred to a lot of different things tonight. There's resources that have been kind of pasted or typed out if anybody's interested to refer to resolutions, Attorney General's opinion, all those kinds of things, and you can have them to review yourself. Also, the petition is in the back, and we would love and are asking everyone to sign. John?
Thank you. I'm John Carroll. I live off 172nd. I'm not going to take a lot of time because a lot of people have said things, and I think we're all here because we would like water, and that's really simple what we want. So I just want to reiterate, we have a petition in the back. You can read the language back there. It's very simple. It just asks the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors in good faith to come to the table and negotiate to get us water for the short term while the long-term solution is worked out. So my opinion is, let's get them off the rear ends and just negotiate in good faith. It's simple. So we have copies back there. Come back. My wife and I are back there. You can sign them. If you want to take one with you and get other people to sign it, please do. My phone number is on the back. You can call me. I'll pick it up. We'll arrange to get it from you. I don't know what the time limit is, but we need to do it quickly so we can get this in there and show that we want something done. Thank you.
And now we have Robert Mitchell.
Good evening, I'm Robert Mitchell. I'm an avid horseman like Mike and Lee and many of you here, and I'd like to tell you that's the reason I'm here, but it's not. I'm here because I'm an attorney. I'm a senior partner with a large law firm in Phoenix, Arizona called Tiffany & Bosco. We have about 85 lawyers, and I head a department that handles commercial real estate, financial and complex litigation matters. I'm here tonight because I represent Miller Ranch, which is a ranch located on 136th Street off the paved area way back there. They've been there over 20 years, and they have a 20-acre spread there that is beautiful. It's really well developed with lots of amenities where they raise world-famous Missouri Foxtrotter horses. And they, like all of you, are very concerned about the water situation that you're dealing with and want to take an active lead role in trying to find a solution, both long-term and short-term, to deal with this situation. Our firm was asked by Miller Ranch to determine whether there's a duty under constitutional law or the state law that would compel a government authority such as Maricopa County to assure adequate water supply for communities, especially like this one, for which they have rubber stamped so many building permits over a number of years. And we believe for a number of reasons the answer is yes. It should surprise nobody here tonight that the right to water is considered a basic human right. The United States government and the Arizona government and courts have long recognized the importance of securing water supply to protect the people's livelihood. The United States Congress passed the Safe Drinking Water Act in 1974, and Arizona passed the Groundwater Management Act in 1980 to ensure that people will have clean drinking water for generations to come. Around the country, courts that have dealt with water issues have found that issues regarding water rights are of great public importance and a basic necessity of life. Today, the Rio Verde Foothills community is left with virtually no water, despite the well-known requirements under Arizona law promulgated by our legislature that developers of property must ensure that there be sufficient water for the residents for at least 100 years. That requirement is found in ARS section 45, 576 of the Arizona Revised Statutes, which requires that a person who proposes to offer subdivided lands for sale or lease in the state of Arizona obtain a certificate of assured water supply from the county where the property is located to be subdivided that assures that water is sufficient to supply that property. And by statute, that requirement requires supplying water for a period of 100 years. Now, in the Rio Verde Foothills community, developers have gotten around this requirement through a supposed loophole called the Wildcat subdivision, where developers subdivide less than 5 or less lots. They do this because by way of statutory requirement in Arizona, subdivided lands subdivisions are considered lands that are divided into 6 or more parcels or lots. Thus, by subdividing land into 5 or fewer parcels, these so-called wildcat developers have been able to skirt the requirement that otherwise would require an assurance of a water supply, an adequate water supply of 100 years. Now, the catch to the analysis is that under ARS 322181D, it is unlawful for parties to act in concert to subdivide land to avoid laws pertaining to subdivisions. And that's the crux of our concern about the county's action. With the Rio Verde Foothills, the Wildcat subdivisions have avoided requirements to determine that at least 100 years of water supply exists and is available. The result is obvious. It's a patchwork of some, I understand, 2,000 homes in the community, many of which have no independent supply of water. And we believe in our analysis that the blame lies at the foot of the county. And why do I say that? Well, one reason, besides the obvious, is that in July of 2005, the Maricopa County adopted the Rio Verde Foothills area plan that was created through the cooperative efforts of various public and private stakeholders, including the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and others. In this comprehensive plan, which is comprised of some 200 pages, Maricopa County discussed, among other things, its plan to develop the Rio Verde Foothills area into where it stands today. And the existence and growing use of wildcat subdivisions was explicitly contemplated by the county and discussed in the area plan. And of course, issues regarding water availability were well known even in 2005 when the area plan was first developed. The area plan identified issues regarding water resources, noting that many residents haul water and the need for an alternative water supply in the future was imperative. Yet here you are 18 years later and there's no long-term solution.
Why?
Well, that's a good question, and let's talk about it. Nevertheless, in the plan for action, Maricopa County intended to continue encouraging development of Rio Verde Foothills while noting that building permits for subdivisions should be disapproved due to lack of water. So in effect, what the county did in its area plan, or through its area plan, was to discourage developers from creating subdivisions due to the lack of water, while tacitly encouraging or turning the back on these so-called wildcat developers who develop the lots without providing homeowners the necessary required assurances that are required by law. So in our view, this is not a case where solely private developers have acted in concert to avoid laws pertaining to subdivisions. Instead, it's a concerted effort, specifically involving Maricopa County, which have deprived these residents of water. And this concerted effort violates Arizona law, particularly with respect to the subdivision laws, which say that you cannot act in concert in a way to evade the subdivision laws.
When do we file a lawsuit?
We're going to get to that. Now, we also believe that the violation here, that the dereliction of duty by the county, also violates the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution and the Arizona Constitution. For example, Article 2, Section 13 of the Arizona State Constitution provides, no law shall be enacted granting to any citizen, class of citizens, or corporation other than the municipal privileges or immunities which upon the same terms shall not equally belong to all citizens or corporations. Here, Arizona's requirement that developers of subdivisions obtain a certificate of assured water supply is neutral on its face. However, Maricopa County's enforcement of that statute has been anything but equal. For example, first of all, it's rewarded these wildcat developers, but more importantly, residents of Rio Verde have been treated differently and disadvantaged compared to other residents of the state who have adequate water supply. So we believe, as a direct result of Maricopa County's failure to enforce the Arizona water laws, particularly those laws relating to subdivisions, the Rio Verde residents have not been afforded equal protection under the law and therefore not provided access to adequate water supply. So in short, our preliminary evaluation of the situation suggests that Maricopa County's inaction to address this current crisis violates the Constitution and state law. We would love, and I say we, my client, which is Miller Ranch, and I would love for there to be a community-oriented solution to the current problem where the county officials and other local leaders get together and solve the problem. For those of us who've been following this over the last year, we have not seen that to be the case. We've seen our elected officials act like politicians instead of like community leaders. And we would love for them to get together and effect a solution. But like many of you, we're discouraged and frankly surprised by the actions, particularly of the county recently, to the City of Scottsdale proposal. And we think that maybe some extra nudging or kicking, as Mr. Horner suggested earlier tonight, might be in order. So if we can't persuade the county to sit down with the City of Scottsdale and effect an interim short-term solution, and that's what we're here to talk about tonight, the short-term solution, so I'll stick to that. If we can't do that, then there are other avenues. And one of the avenues Miller Ranch is interested in pursuing is litigation against the county for these violations that I've suggested here. And those violations would be pursued not to simply effectuate a 2-year litigation outcome, but to do whatever we can to put pressure on the County Board of Supervisors to get in there and find a solution like they're elected to do. And so that, we think, is a necessary added component to what all the things that you guys are already doing to try to get the county's attention and to get them focused on this problem like they should be as a county. Beg your pardon?
Where's your form to sign up on?
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about that. We are happy to have you join with us in this effort. My clients who run the Miller Ranch are happy to lead the effort. They're happy to help do more than their fair share of financing it, but they need support. And not just the financial support, but the group support. Because I think one of the problems you guys have had here before is you look like a bunch of splintered groups that can't come together and agree on something. So by being splintered, you're giving the politicians cover to not do something about it. And so one thing I think would be helpful for our lawsuit, and I know everybody has different means to be able to contribute. Some of you are homeowners, some of you are retirees, some of you are living on fixed income, but some of you are well-to-do ranchers and have the ability to contribute. And what we'd like to do is get everybody together, file this lawsuit if we're going to do that on behalf of a large group of residents to really send a message to the county. We're serious. We want to hold you accountable. We want you to do something about it. We're not going to wait till the ballot box next time to remove you. We're going to do something now, and we're going to do it in the courts. So I encourage you, if you're interested in that, reach out to Lothar and Monica Rowe, the owners of Miller Ranch, or reach out to me. I'm Robert Mitchell. If you Google Robert Mitchell Attorney, you can find me easily. I'm over the internet. My cases have been reported to the front page of the Wall Street Journal and many national publications, so I'm very easy to find. This is an important case. I'd like to help you with it. I'd like to help the community deal with it. And so please reach out to me or to my clients if you're interested. Lastly, I've been asked to speak up as well, as some other people have eloquently done, for this petition that's in the back of the room. This is not a legal petition in the true statutory sense. It's not a petition to get to force a referendum or initiative on the ballot. It's a petition to show community resolve and support to the County Board of Supervisors, to let them know everybody here wants a solution. It may not be the same solution. Everybody may be leaning one way or another, but we need a short-term solution. And I think it's so important, no matter what your philosophy is on the DWID or on EPCOR or some other solution long-term, you need to show unanimity as a community in order to get the County Board of Supervisors to take you seriously. And so please, I encourage you, go sign that petition, get your neighbors to sign that petition, and let's get this thing moving. And it's going to take community concerted action to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Now we have about 10 minutes for questions. If anybody has questions, if you'll come up to the microphone and ask your question.
Thank you.
And then the petition is in the back, so for anybody to sign.
Hi, I'm Bruce Plant. I live up on North 136th Street. I want to thank everybody for their time, for coming here and sharing their information. The question I have is, I believe everybody is trying to do the right thing, but I know I'm missing something because I was just as shocked as maybe some of you were that we didn't get at least a short-term solution, which seemed to be a no-brainer. What am I missing? You know, if the county could just sign this or negotiate an agreement, it's really no skin off our back or theirs. Again, what am I missing? What's missing?
Liz, you can answer that.
Yeah,
Posture.
go ahead.
Oh,
You aren't missing anything. Nothing's happened. It's posturing, it's politics, it's stakes in the sand, and it's all not for our benefit as the community to have water. It's for publication, publicity, who appears stronger. That's what it is. Unfortunately, it's sad. But that's why we want to ask the people that are responsible to us, the Board of Supervisors, to sit down with Scottsdale. Now, we didn't want Scottsdale to turn off the spigot, and we wanted them to turn it back on. There was even litigation. Now they finally have come to the table roundabout and said, we'll talk. And we're willing to turn it back on. But the Board of Supervisors needs to sit down with them and talk. And again, like Robert said, we don't know what that answer will be. We don't have the answers. But we believe in all of them to be able to sit down. That's what they do. That's what we've voted on them to do on our behalf. And they need to sit down and do it rather than putting a stake in the sand and drawing a line.
Well, what's the stake and what's the line? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, I think the way it stands right now is the city said, we'll work with you, but they put in a resolution, and the county looked at the resolution, and I believe there were some things not acceptable for their reasons, and they said no. So it stopped there. And I'm just saying, if they are continuing to negotiate, then more power, that's what we want. But we don't have a solution right now. And it's been many, many months. Obviously, it was turned off January 1, but again, Scottsdale told us a year before that. So we're now probably, 15 months into this, and we don't have an interim solution. So we want an interim solution. We want them to sit down and negotiate and figure it out.
Thank you all. I'd like to answer the gentleman's question.
I'm Larry Wolf. I'm a resident of Rio Verde Foothills. So, if you read the intergovernmental agreement that Scottsdale proposed without cooperation with the county found out about it when a reporter notified them. Don't shake your head, please. And it is true. And the Scottsdale proposal excluded the self-haulers. Mike, are you here? Excluded anybody who didn't close on their property by January 3rd of this year. So there's a number of people that wouldn't be included. The prices were exorbitant. They were going to buy 600 acre-feet of water and give us 252 acre-feet. So we're buying water for Scottsdale that's sitting on billions. And so the county did attempt to negotiate with Scottsdale, and you can look at the videos, they're all online. Scottsdale refused to answer their questions. The attorneys got together after that. Scottsdale refused to negotiate. That's the fact. This group is barking up the wrong tree. You're focusing your anger on the Board of Supervisors, who have been working tirelessly for over a year to bring us an interim solution. And EPCOR, as the interim solution, was available before our water was cut off. And Scottsdale could approve that right now, and we'd have water literally tomorrow. That's the fact. So the anger is being misdirected, and I'm not going to presume why, but the anger in this room is misdirected to the county when it should be directed to Scottsdale. By the way, Mayor Ortega the other day went on PBS and said that our problem is minuscule. I don't think our problem is minuscule. I think Mayor Ortega is the one that we should be targeting this petition to, not to the county. Scottsdale could solve this immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and we certainly appreciate and respect your opinion. And the only thing, the truth is, we aren't in Scottsdale's jurisdiction. So the only people that we can bark at right now is the Board of Supervisors. And the Board of Supervisors, we believe, are strong enough, and if they were the leaders that we've elected them to be, could turn it around and get everybody to talk. So we have to bark at them so that they can keep barking at Scottsdale on our behalf.
Thank you. I was just going to add two things. One, before people run off, we're going to have another meeting here next Tuesday at 6:30. You're welcome to join. You're welcome to bring your friends. I hope you do. Number two, we understand the different concerns and some of the voices that were heard and some of the anger about the city of Scottsdale. But let's face it, folks, face reality. It's their water. And they've got a responsibility, not to us, but not to your community, but to their own community to protect that water. And so when they made a proposal, it was incumbent upon the Board of Supervisors to sit down to the table and negotiate with them, not posture, not make press releases and statements that showed they were drawing an artificial line in the sand. They needed to negotiate. And that's the standard, and I think that's the message you uniformly as a community need to hold them accountable for.
Question?
Next Tuesday. Next Tuesday at 6:30.
Yeah, did I not say that?
You didn't say that.
Oh, next
David
Tuesday,
Copeland.
6:30, next Tuesday.
David Koblenz, I live in Rio Verde. I'm wondering, shouldn't we have a deadline, for them to act? What is our deadline? So that we know when to take action or what our next action is going to be.
The deadline was December 31st, 2022.
We're past that. What's our deadline for current litigation? And can we make it a class action lawsuit? Is another question.
Well, it wouldn't be a class action lawsuit, it'd be a group lawsuit. But to answer your question, we need to take action soon, but we need to get a critical mass. So I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 more meetings where we get more community involvement, support here, where people can come out and understand what is going on and get involved. That's when we're going to get their
Next
attention.
Tuesday
When
at
that complaint
6:30.
has a list that
Because
long
the
to
people
play
in the
this,
back didn't.
you're going to get the Board of Supervisors' attention.
I had one more question. Should we act on another prong and start to remove the supervisors so that we can get something done? It's just a question.
That's outside of my purview. You could certainly look that way. I mean, I think our goal is to pressure them to do their job.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, it's something to think about.
Thank you, sir. At the end of the day, like Robert said, we just want a solution. And they really are the only ones that can do that on our behalf. And as a community, we can urge them and let them know that we are together as a group, and we want them to sit down at the table and use their negotiating skills to fine-tune whatever it is that each side is concerned about. But I feel certain that if they both worked at it, Scottsdale and the county Board of Supervisors, that they could figure it out and would.
Really quickly.
Next Tuesday, 6:30, same place, same time, same place next week.
How do you get the meeting out to everyone for next Tuesday? With the news media, let them announce it? Or how do you, get an email, get